The yellow vest movement spreading throughout Europe and beyond. No doubt about it, with that eclipse hitting. This is the yellow vest movement, November 17, 2018. At 12:01 a.m. I got that from verified source from a French website. That was from a government website. They listed to be off the roads because starting this time, we can expect all these disruptions. So this is the blood wolf moon eclipse that just recently occurred, and it's right along the nodal axis. This eclipse is hitting the nodal axis, squaring Uranus. What's Uranus? Uranus is the universal ruler of revolution. So what is this all coming down to? Revolution by the proletariat. The lower middle class, French people, they feel they're paying too much in taxes. They're not getting anything back. They're paying more. They're getting less. Their incomes are not sufficient enough. They have incomes that are a little too high to get any help or subsistence from the government, and they have just enough income to stay barely above water. So rather than protests by the very poor, it is now a protest flowing from the lower middle class and bleeding into the French middle class. And all of these people protesting are terrified of falling into a lower class or underclass. So we're now seeing this emerge. So all of these new programs that came out by the Eurozone, pushed out in France, many of these people fell into the so-called donut hole. It's like part of the Obamacare debate. So where you don't quite make enough money for subsistence or any government assistance of any type, but you're still way under. You still can't afford. You can't afford the very programs that you're paying into. You can't participate in them fully because of this donut hole oversight. We're seeing this in America with people who earn too much to qualify for health insurance subsidies, but too little to afford coverage of their own. So that's all going to come to a head this year in the second half in America, but I digress. So we're going to see this really play out, become really, really big. Now it's only going to get really big. It's evolved. It's evolving. It will continue to evolve because these type of protests are evolving into general anti-government, anti-Euro protest. Hundreds of thousands, not hundreds of thousands are protesting all across the world. And it's not being shown on TV. You go to YouTube, you can see it there. The Yellow Vest movement has started going global right after the first initial one in November. So November 17th. So November 17th was the first set of protest movements, and then we see it escalate and spread. Belgium, November 30th, 2018, Australia, January 2019. We're seeing it spread to Bulgaria, Canada, Croatia, Egypt, Finland, Germany, Iraq, Ireland, Italy, Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Russia, Taiwan, Tunisia, United Kingdom, December 23rd, 2018. So we're seeing it spread. This is the astrocartography chart of the first Yellow Vest movement protest. You could see how Mars goes right over Belgium, actually, going right through Italy. So we're seeing the Sun Mars crossing right over Central Europe, not too far from Brussels. So we're seeing this really, really spread. And there's no doubt in my mind, it will probably at some point come to the United States at some point. Now, going back to Italy, the problem in Southern Europe really has to do with Italy's economic fragility, including a weak banking sector, high public debt, slowing economy is causing the populist government with little to no room to maneuver. They cannot operate with the 2019 budget that they have to work in based on the Eurozone, based on the rules pushed down by Brussels. So they can't operate. The high economic growth rates that are being projected onto Italy from Brussels are not going to materialize. The populist leadership within Italy know this, and at the same time, the European Central Bank's quantitative easing programs, buying back all these bad Italian bonds that are being held by these Italian banks, that has completely come to an end. So Italy's fragility means that it will be a major external risk, even in some ways more significant than the hard British exit. And the fact that we see Italy go from a recession into a depression this year, right, which will send the European economy into a recession with little room to operate. And I see that recession going into a depression. You're going to see Yellow Vest movements really just take off, especially in Italy, as I showed with the astrocartography map.